What's going on, guys? It's Christopher Toro, and welcome to Glorified Games, the place where we talk about games and sometimes Switch-related topics. From LA Noire, Skyrim, Doom, and Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, all of those games have one thing in common when it comes to the Switch. They're pretty old. And you're probably asking, if you don't own a Switch, why are people buying these old games? What is so special about this? Why would they go out and buy a 6-year-old game for full price? Well, everybody, it's because of something called the Switch effect. No, it's not a crazy theory, nothing too out there. It's simply the Nintendo Switch effect. It's what happens to any game when it's on the Switch. With the Switch's 1080p and 720p graphics, games on it look clean. They look vintage in a good sense. But when you finally just have somewhere to go, and then you realize you don't have to stop playing. That high definition game you're playing right now could actually come with you. You could just pick it up and leave. Heck, the console is most likely fully charged anyway, so you could just pick it up and go. And when you feel that feeling for the first time, when you know you can actually just leave with it and play it when you're on the train or when you go to your next destination, there's this feeling that you're overcome by. And it's just a gratitude to the company that made it firstly, and then it's just a feeling of pure freedom and of ownership. You own that game. That game does whatever you want, wherever you want. Playing LA Noire and experiencing its deep narrative wherever you want, that is a completely different feeling than coming home, boosting up your Xbox or PlayStation or Steam, and then forcing yourself to sit down, look at a screen for God knows how many hours, and play it, because you know that there are certain checkpoints, there are certain points where you save, and that's when you can leave. You're pretty much forced. It's like the game kind of owns you, and you don't own it, because you're forced to stay in your room, probably eat junk food, all because you just want to sit down and play the game you paid full price for. When I explain it like that, it doesn't sound very good, does it? So that's where the Switch effect comes into play. You own the game. You don't need to save it. Sure, you can quick save in Skyrim, but if you're in the middle of an investigation in LA Noire, you could just simply press the sleep button and play it later. You don't need to run into that checkpoint. You own the game. And I know there are sleep modes in PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, but honestly, when I had it in sleep mode for a long time, like more than 5 hours, something went wrong with it. For some reason, Xbox and PlayStation hasn't really perfected that sleep option. It doesn't feel as natural, and most of the time the games kind of mess up because there's so much the hardware has to work with. But that's not a problem with the Nintendo Switch. And sure, it's not 4K, it's not anything like that, but if you do want those things, you have to sacrifice so much. And as a gamer, as a person, you shouldn't have to do that. You should have the freedom to go wherever you want to go. Most of the time, girls don't play consoles because you're just stuck in a house, and sometimes they just want to go out. And on occasion, I've seen girls that openly say that they're hooked on their Switch. It's that much more appealing than a regular home console. And even though Sonic Forces wasn't great, I still have a great time just playing that amazing looking game on my Switch. Even though I could play with one hand, I still have fun while just playing it as a handheld. It makes those games that aren't as tolerable or special on the big screen when you're forced to sit that much more enjoyable. Your expectations don't exist anymore. When it's on the go, it's just something that you want to have fun with. It could be moderate fun. It doesn't have to be a AAA experience. It's that Switch effect that actually switches your mindset to enjoy the game even further. I played Skyrim over and over again, and to be honest, because I had to sit down for that many hours, I just couldn't put the hours in for that game. I just can't. But for some reason, with Skyrim on the Switch, I can lay down and I can just play this AAA game, and I've never played Skyrim so much, and it looks perfect. I think it looks exactly how I remember it. And I also never beat Doom. I have Doom on the PC, never sat down to actually play it. And sure, I had time to do it. But the thing is, being too lazy to sit down for 6 hours and devoting your entire day for this thing, is that really being lazy? Because for some reason, AAA titles are seeming to be more work than they're supposed to be. I don't feel inclined to play all these AAA titles that are coming out. I know there's a lot put into it, but also because there is so much put into this game, so much money, my expectations are just overblown. It makes it more than a game, and it's just a little too much for me sometimes as a gamer. Personally, I might just get a little too intimidated by the game, and I don't feel like experiencing intense immersion or anything like that. I just want to play a fun game most of the time. I asked my little brother what he was playing at the moment, and there's always like a slight hesitation. Doesn't seem really quite into most of the titles that come out. He played a lot of the free-to-play games, and I guess those really get your attention because they're not really asking for much. You don't really take them seriously. You know, it's just something you could pick up and play. You don't have to get immersed in the giant story that's taking place. Like Warframe. Warframe is one of the most successful free-to-play games because it just looks cool, it plays well, and it doesn't have a giant story. It's just a good game, and I heard that new expansion is pretty cool too. I wouldn't mind having Warframe on the Switch. So the Switch effect helps AAA games become a more tolerable and less invested experience. And most of the time, it turns out that's a great thing because things that are not trying to impress you as much leave more of an impression. That's just how games work. They're not meant to be movies. They're just meant to be this thing you pick up, have fun with, and walk away from, and have fond memories about. And that's the Switch effect. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good one. Later.
You're going to love this. Trust me, what you're seeing now is my normal state. This is a Super Saiyan. And this is what is known as a Super Saiyan that has ascended past a Super Saiyan. Or, you could just call this a Super Saiyan 2.
What a useless transformation. So what?
Just wait!
Has he really found a way? Is that possible?
He must be bluffing. I mean, what would that make him? Double ascended?
And this
What's he doing?
is to go even further beyond!
It's unreal. How is he generating that much power?
Do it, Dad!
Yes, my body was ready.